Hello, everyone. It's Friday, February the 8th, 2019. You know, I've been telling you about this potential invasion, insurgents inside our nation, some potential of 2 million plus that are here, the danger that it poses. The question I'm asked most often is who's behind it. Now, if there is organization at this point, if there's organization, it will be coming from one of 3 countries: China, Russia, or Iran. Iran, of course, is Islam. The problem I have with Iran being the group behind this invasion is because with Islam, you're either Islam or not. I don't personally see how Iran could be cooperating with invaders, if you want to call it that, from the Central American region. I just don't. Now, does that mean there's not a Muslim connection? Of course. Of course. We have a problem with Islam within our borders, such as Dearborn, Michigan, an area that is majority Muslim. They've taken it over. And we've talked before of the problem that causes if, for example, one day we woke up and see the headlines, and the headlines say that the Islamic government in Dearborn have declared Dearborn to be an Islamic caliphate, and that it would be totally under the governance of Sharia law. That would be a problem. What would we do? We invade Dearborn. Now we've got holders of positions in Congress that are Muslim. More than ever, people that have actually come into Congress and refused to swear their oath on the Bible. They wanted to take it on the Quran. But I still don't believe Islam is behind this invasion. Well, then what about China? China would be a good prospect, except for another problem. China owes tremendous debt from us. We owe them a fortune. Not to mention the fact that China's wealth, their economic surge in the world, has been due to the buying and purchasing power of America. I have no doubt that their plans include calling us an enemy. And I have no doubt as well that one day they see a time when it's us or them. I have seen a report that a general from China that changed over to us brought, and it was the 100-year plan. The 100-year plan for China. They consider us an enemy. But then there's another thing with China. You see, they're not like us. They don't do today, tomorrow. They don't change their plans. They don't do all of this stuff in and out, in and out. When they set it up, and they stay with their plan. And they long-range plan, 100 years. And it's because of all of this that I find China hard to be the culprit of the invasion, not to mention the fact that I do not believe China has that strong a presence in Central and South America. I just don't see it. So that leaves one, Russia. Need I go back to the days of Khrushchev taking his shoe off and beating the table at the UN, saying that America would be destroyed from within? Obviously, an invasion, the one that I tell you that potentially exists right now with these illegal immigrants, that if some 10% of them are actually here for nefarious reasons to destroy or disrupt our country, one community at a time. Russia, that would fit what Khrushchev said, a destruction that would come from within. Then, when you add to that what I've told you that I have seen, which was a part of history, the way that the Ortega brothers, Daniel and Humberto, came to existence in Nicaragua, how their tactics of being a street gang and then spreading the street gang into other communities all over Nicaragua until one day they were strong enough that they literally overtook and overthrew the government. Pretty significant, these similarities. Instead of the Ortega brothers street gang taking over Nicaragua and growing and eventually taking it over, here we have such groups as MS-13 that came here. They're violent, much as the Ortega brothers were, gruesome as the Ortega brothers were, vicious as they were. But they also spread throughout the communities throughout Nicaragua before they overthrew the government, finally got strong enough, and then the Soviet Union got behind them and helped them complete the task. The similarities are just there for you to see, just there. And then there's one other thing. The presence in the Central and South American countries. Obviously, they were there with a plan in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, which we called the domino theory, which was to work their way up through all of the countries, Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, etc., and then eventually end up in Mexico. And President Reagan made the commitment that it would not spread that far. So that's why the Nicaraguan Contras became our proxy element to stop communism in Central America, and we did it in Nicaragua. Rather than letting them get to Mexico. And back to what I've told you before, the domino theory was not based off the fact that once they got to Mexico and took it over, that Mexico would attack America. It was never meant to be that way. It was never seen to happen that way. What they saw was, and their intent was, once they got to Mexico with the broad, porous, open border, that they could infiltrate an army into our country rather easily and grow it until it got to the point where it was significant in size enough to disrupt and eventually destroy our nation. They had assets, they had people in the area, in the Central and South American countries. Well, folks, they still have them. Oh, yes, the Soviet Union, as we have known it to be, is supposedly gone. But I don't believe it's gone as far as everybody thinks. I think they realize that going by the name of the Soviet Union is bad. They disbanded because they found out, as everyone will, that socialism does not work. They did it on a massive scale. Country after country, they would fall, and they would strip the country of its assets. The problem was when they stripped it of all of its assets and its worth, then the Soviet Union was bound to have to feed the populations. And it became costly. So they folded as the Soviet Union. Now they function more under the Russia plan for conquest. And that brings us to our present day situation. I believe Russia still has the capability, the organization to get people into this country subversively, have them here ready at any time to disrupt and destroy America. You see, the problem with MS-13, or anyone of that size, the gangs I'm saying, being able to pull off such a strategy of spreading out throughout the nation in every community, large or small, being able to organize and grow franchises, essentially. That's a task that's a little bit hard for me to see a group such as MS-13 or any of the other groups being smart enough to pull off. And as with any war, whether it be an internal subversive war or line up on each side and everybody go to war, in any event, any type of war, there's one thing that must exist, and that's command and control. Somebody has got to have command and control of these insurgents that are here in this country. Somebody has to. I do not believe it is MS-13, singularly, them by themselves. Folks, I believe, my opinion, please take it as such, my opinion. If indeed there is an excursionary force within the borders of our nation, people that are here to overthrow us of sorts, I believe that the country that is behind it may have been behind it since the beginning. The country that may have seen it develop and grow until it's become so obvious that they did as they did with the Ortega brothers. They saw the opportunity with the Ortega brothers, how they had grown to come in and help them and eventually overthrow the existing government in Nicaragua. Folks, I believe Russia is the most probable culprit behind this exercise. Remember, it was the domino theory. That's the key. The domino theory then. What we may be seeing is the domino theory now 2.0. They're here. We do not know the level of organization as yet. We can't say, even with absolution, that my fears are real. But again, I ask you, you don't have to believe me. I'm not even asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to open the door to your home and look out for yourself. Look out your own door. Look down your street. Look in your community. Look at your downtown. Look at the crime rate. See what you see. And you tell me. Then I want you to add up, or add to it, I should say, the instability of our government. At present time, our government is in such disarray that there is an open push for this nation to move towards socialism. Right out in front of God and everybody, it's there. I don't understand it. I don't understand how anyone in this country could be for the installation of socialism. I don't understand how our government officials can sit back and watch this happen as though they want it. I don't know if they're in on it or if they're just jumping on a cripple and taking advantage of it. I truly don't know. But I know this. My fears are real. Something's got to give in this country. And I ask you, once again, don't believe me. Ask yourself, do you see how this country can keep going? Do you see how our government can continue on if something doesn't snap? Folks, we're coming to an event. We're coming to an event that many nations throughout history have had to face. It's a paradigm shift. Yes, it's a paradigm shift. It's when everything that you knew is going to change. And we're at that point. Something's got to give. And that something that has to give is simple. Do we continue on as the America we were created to be? Or do we turn into some new form of government based off an old model called socialism? Are we to become socialists, communists here in this nation? Are we? For those of you that say it's not even possible, it can't even be considered, you're wrong. We've got a whole population of millennials. You've seen the numbers yourself. You don't need me. Thankfully, thanks to you, all of you, thanks to the phone calls you've been making, thanks to the attention you've been drawing to the fact of never socialism, it's spreading. Just today I find Breitbart News, they've got a t-shirt coming out. I hope ours will be coming out very soon. We're trying. But they're out with a t-shirt that says never socialist. You saw President Reagan or heard him in his State of the Union speech declare we would never succumb to socialism, paraphrasing what he said. Thanks to you, people are starting to wake up and become aware. But we still have the problem. They're here. And we're woken too late. Can we stop it? Can we stop it, or are we doomed to the nightmare scenario that I've been trying to draw out for y'all and point out to you and trying to get you to see? The bloody takeover, the violent takeover from within. Guys, I think it is Russia. I think it's Russia finally getting to achieve, as they see it, their goal, their dream that they've had for years, to infiltrate this country. And once they have sufficient numbers here through infiltration, then rise up and get these people with low-level training, get these people to disrupt communities where they live or where they are. put this nation to its knees in submission. I see that. I'm no prophet. I don't have visions. I don't. What I see is based off history, based off my experiences, things I've seen, places I've been where similar things have taken place. And my job as I see it, is simply to try to wake up people before it is too late. And then if I can't wake people up, my job is to do what I can to make sure people have a chance to fend for themselves and to be prepared. Much work has to be done still. Much work. We've still got to be able to spread the word. How do we do that? They have already successfully mastered and taken over the media. God gave us a chance. God gave us one chance, a miracle. God allowed us to put Donald Trump in as president at this critical time. And with his personality, with his style, with his intestinal fortitude, we have a man that's willing to fight it, a man that's willing to get in front of it, a man that's willing to take the licks, but still stay there and teach us and help us. But it's time now that we help him. You're making phone calls to your congressmen and to your senators. You must keep that up. Today is the last day of the first week. When you get through today, next week's it. Starting Monday, you will hit the phones again. You will call and continue to call. Yes, they're getting tired of it. Yes, I'm getting word that the phone calls are starting to irritate them. Well, that's what we want. But we're not here just to irritate. We're here to make sure they understand we're serious. They need to understand never socialism is not just a slogan, not just a campaign slogan. We're not like them. They need to know that we, unlike them, we're not into words. And words that are designed to give an image of this, that, or the other, but without the strength of the belief behind it. We need them to understand when we say never socialism, we mean every word of it. Never socialism. I've tried to tell you, your money. If you want to protect yourself, protect your money. If you've got it in a bank, as I did in the program yesterday, if you've got money in the bank, it's not secure. It's not secure at all. Well, I'm not telling you to go get all your money out and put it in a jar and bury it in the backyard. I'm not telling you that. I'm simply saying that if you did do that, your money would be obviously, in my opinion, your money would be safer than it is in that bank. The bank don't care about you. And the day the market collapses, the day these people start rising up and causing disruption in communities, you better believe it, the banks will close. When they close, you won't have access to your money. You'll be broke. You'll have nothing. Some of you have gone so far as to purchase gold and silver. I find that to be within reason-wise. But remember this, when it collapses, if we collapse, and you're sitting there with a gold brick, you're going to be able to buy a loaf of bread with it. Cash will be king. Cash will be king. Whether your family eats, whether your family has ammunition. All of that will depend on your availability of cash. So be wise. Be wise. Do what you feel you can do to protect your money. Because when the day comes, mark my words, when the day comes, if everything you have is in that bank and that bank folds, you've lost it all. And for those of you that are sitting back saying, FDIC, we're guaranteed $100,000 in our account that's protected, you better think back, most of you can, to the SNL failure. When all the SNLs went out, they had insurance, just like the FDIC, except it was called FDLC or FSLIC. You know what happened there? No, people didn't get 100% of their $100,000 they had in the savings loan at the time it collapsed. Most got somewhere between 2 cents on a dollar, if they got that. Don't kid yourself. The Federal Insurance Reserve for your account, they don't have enough money. They don't have enough money to cover all the banks folding. They don't have enough money for 2 of the major banks to fold. They don't have enough money to cover you. So you'll lose it all. Face the facts, folks. I know I'm not entertaining. I know my programs here are not entertainment, so you can sit back and get all excited. But that's not what I do, guys. It's not what I do. It started years ago when I told the truth about the Clintons. It was not a game then, and it is not a game now. If I'm not entertaining enough to get your attention or to get thousands of people to hear me, hear the warnings, then that's my failure, and I'm sorry. I don't know how to entertain people. All I know is to tell you what I do and to give you every chance I can on this earth to protect yourself, protect your family, and for God's sakes, to protect our country. Now, they've already proven, the Democrats and many of the rhino Republicans, they've already proven that they're willing to murder, yes, I said murder, innocent babies right before they're born, or even, as that governor of Virginia said, after they're born. If they don't care about those babies, they don't care about you. They're doing everything they can to strip your religion from you, strip your faith from you. Half of the churches that you go to now, they're not following the Bible. They're just designer churches. They'll make you think God bends and goes with the status quo, that God is okay with anything, what they'd have you believe. And oh Lord, look at the thousands and thousands and millions of people that on Sunday go to church trying to further their faith, trying to feel the comfort of God's grace. Yet they're going in churches that are apostate, I think that's the word, churches that are not following God's word, churches that are too busy being whatever the style of the day calls for, so that they can get more people, and more people means more money in the drum. They're taking your faith from you. If they will take babies' lives, if they will take your faith from you, and do everything they can to take it, then surely you must be able to believe that they'll take your money, and yes, they'll take your freedom. Your freedom. Freedom and liberties that every soldier since the day the first shot was fired in the Revolutionary War, every soldier has died for. They're taking it. And yes, they're going to do it from within. The instrument's there, whether they do it, whether they don't. Believe it or not, the call's totally up to them. They have the people on the ground here in this country, millions of them. They've got a media that's complicit. And if it starts, it'll be far too deep. It will have happened way too much before the media might, and I say might even at that point, figure it out and start trying to warn people. They've already got a foothold in Congress. They've got our Congress now, or if it were today, the decision from Congress would be socialism. Are our congressmen in on it? Or are they just stupid and think they're taking advantage of it and just riding with it to get more power? I don't know. And it really doesn't matter. What matters is that we've got a Congress that's weak. It's either weak or it's tyrannical. And in any event, it's tyrannical whether it's weak or purposeful. Then we've got colleges and schools where the teachers have become nothing more than propaganda tools to brainwash our young. It's so exact now that they've even got a technical name for it called social engineering. Nobody wants to hear brainwashing, so social engineering is the correct term. College professors that take students and turn their minds against our way of life. And now they have an entire generation, the millennials, that have never seen or heard anything except the history they wanted them to learn. And to show you how effective they've been, as I have pointed out to y'all, in the 2016 presidential primary for both parties, more people voted for Hillary and Bernie Sanders, a communist and a self-professed socialist. More people voted for those two in that election than voted for all of the Republicans. So you can extrapolate out from that if that day the question was, do you want socialism or America the way it's been, that means 51% plus would have said socialism. Can't blame the millennials totally. They know no different. What I do blame the millennials for is you want to claim socialism. You think it's the answer that Cortez young thing that thinks she's the modern leader. They don't know what it is, but yet they can't. They're supposed to be so smart. Why can they not look? Why can they not look at Venezuela today? It's happening right now today in Venezuela. Socialism fails always. We have much to do. Much to do. I've tried to give you a mental image of what's here. I've tried to give you statistically the information put out by others, not me, to the numbers of people here that we have no idea who they are. We have no idea where they came from, and we have no idea what they are a part of. We must build the wall. Not that the wall will take back all of those that are already here, but it can stop the hundreds of thousands that are coming in each month. And for every 100,000 that come in, across our border to the south, you can calculate some 10% probably would be here for nefarious reasons. So at 100,000 a month, that's 10,000 more potential terrorist insurgents every month coming here. If I'm right, and 10% of the illegals that are here are part of some potential army to overthrow America. You realize there's already more people here, more army here than in any other time in history. 2 million is a huge, huge excursionary force inside this country. Huge. Do you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you tell others? You know, I try with each one of these YouTube programs to explain myself, to explain the situation as fairly and honestly as I can, so that as you bring people to hear them, that I don't embarrass you, and I don't humiliate you in front of your friends and they think, God, you're listening to some conspiracy nut. I may be a nut, for certain. I guess I'm crazy for doing what I do. But we need fear conspiracies. We do, when they're real. I've asked y'all to be careful on the social media. Be careful that you're not being led around by disinformation. They do that too. You must use discernment as you follow these different people. And I ask you simply, does it make sense what they're saying? Do you really believe that after the State of the Union speech on Tuesday, wasn't there supposed to be everybody in Washington basically arrested? Didn't happen, did it? I'm sure there'll be an excuse why they say, those that have promoted this concept, there's an excuse why it didn't happen. Still coming, just didn't happen. Folks, it's not going to happen that way. I ask you to use your brain. Think it through. I've asked you to help me. Thousands of people hear me. And you can count on one hand the number of people that help financially. It's pretty discouraging. And yes, it makes me wonder why. Why do I put myself through it? Why do I put my family through it? And I do wonder, how much more can I take? So I'll put out, once again, a cry, a plea. Yeah, I guess I'm begging you to help some. Some of you have a lot of money. You could help with a lot. Some of you have very little at all. You could help with a little. I don't know the answers to why you don't. I can only accept the responsibility and blame me. There's something about me that keeps you from helping. I'm sorry. But we've got to keep on. We can't quit. I can't quit. So if you're hearing me today, if you're hearing me, will you please send what you can to Nichols Live at AOL.com on PayPal. Nichols Live at AOL.com with PayPal. If you don't have PayPal, go to nicholslive.com, and there you will see other ways that you can contribute. nicholslive.com. Folks, I'm tired. I'm worn too fragile. I need your help. Believe it or not, we're what is standing between a nation that lives up to our founding fathers' dreams, a nation that has been more successful than any other nation in the history of the world. We're standing right in the middle of that, between that and dissolving into another Soviet socialism failure at the expense of our children and grandchildren and their futures. Are you out there? If you are, help. Please. If it's $1, if it's 10,000, help. We'll give one time to try to stop this. And this is it. And we're in the middle, you and I. You're making phone calls, some of you, a lot of you. So we've got to go and keep pushing. So with that, folks, good day.